Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Woman Empowerment Series today with me, Farisha. And today I have a special guest with us, is Freda Liu. Hi Freda.
Hi, how are you, Parisha?
I'm good. How are you? Awesome. Thank you for being with me on this lovely Sunday for another episode of Woman Empowerment Series where I showcase amazing and wonderful women in Malaysia. So Freda, can you share us more about yourself?
About myself, wow, I've been around for a few decades. I was born in Brunei. But I'm Sarawakian. I've
Mm-hmm.
been in KL for a long time. My background is in PR. I used to work for a PR consultancy, and then after that, I worked for IBM. After which, of course, now I work for BFM, which is a business radio station. In between all that, I do a lot of speaking. I've written a couple of books, so moderating, that sort of thing. A mother of one.
Amazing. And Freda, she is one of my idol. Yeah, I look up to her as a female idol, one of the most inspirational female idol in Malaysia. Yes. Okay. And can you share with us your most memorable moments and highlight in your career?
Okay, so um, it's very difficult to pinpoint one highlight, right? Different points in my life where it has sort of caused a different direction in life. One of which I guess was very instrumental was when I first came back from Australia. I was taking care of my father back in Kuching.
Mhm.
Then my father passed on. And a very interesting proposition was to do a TV show, right? And this came
Mhm.
from RTM. I had no idea what it was. That was not my study. That wasn't my background. And I said, what the heck? I was in between jobs. I haven't even started work at that time. And
Mhm.
then I realized that it was a very big show. It's a live TV show that was
Mhm.
aired in Malaysia and in Singapore.
Mhm.
From there, that was where the heads of what was then known as Singapore Broadcasting Corporation, now Media Corp and RTM, the heads of these stations saw me and got me into TV, right? Broadcasting, radio and TV. And
Mhm.
who knew that a little thing like that would result in that? And it was like the first time that I've ever been on TV. It was a live TV show. That's not my background. That's not what I studied. That wasn't even a career plan. So I think that was very interesting point, right? And I still didn't want to do this full time. There've been many highs and lows in my career. I think, like, if I would just talk about the last 10 years, it's just the interesting people that I've met, that I've
Mhm.
interviewed. Writing the first book was also very exciting, right? The first book is always the most challenging, and now I'm onto my sixth book. So I think that's been, a lot of interesting things that have happened in my life. So can't pinpoint one. All have been um, instrumental. All have been enlightening.
Okay. And for the next question, in your own words, can you describe what woman empowerment means to you?
Women empowerment, such a broad area, right? I think for me, women empowerment is that when you have a choice, right? When you're given full liberty to decide what you want to do, right? And whether it's, I want a career, I want to be a homemaker, I want to be whatever, but that decision comes from you and no one's dictating what you should or shouldn't do. In the work scenario, when I think about women empowerment, can we get to the point where it's gender equality in the workplace? Can we get to the point where it's 50-50, 50 men, 50 female? Do we have that representation in politics? Do we have that representation in business? Do we have that equal representation, right? Um, and and you are not stopped because of situations, right? You are given the opportunity to move up, or to choose a career. I
Mhm.
think that to me is women empowerment. So when there are still barriers to progress for women, then that is not helping with the cause for women empowerment. So to me, it's just about equality and given the choice to choose what you want to do in a nutshell.
Okay. And how important to you is for ladies and women and also girls out there to support and empower one another?
Oh, this is such an important thing. I think that's what's very unique about women is that I think we're just generally um, built biologically to be more nurturing,
Yeah.
to be more supportive of each other. So
Mhm.
there's something very powerful about women supporting women, right? There's also something very negative about women not supporting women, right? That's another story altogether. But when you put an environment where when it's women supporting women and bringing out the best in each other, that is
Yes.
such a powerful thing that can happen, right? I try not to get to the point of gender, but we have to because we're not it's not an even playing field yet, right? So when you are able to support another person in whatever field they want to, I think that's a very powerful message when it comes to women empowerment and women supporting women. I think also a very powerful message is men supporting women, right? So we can always, I've been talking about this for the longest time, right? And there are more than enough groups that talk about supporting women. When you get the man coming on board as well in this cause, that's a
Mhm.
very important and powerful message as well when we can get to that point, right? So yes, women supporting women, but when men are very vocal about equality, it sends a very important message across.
Exactly. And it's important for men out there to also respect and value the woman in their lives.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes. So
Exactly.
it can be their mother, their wife, sister, sister-in-law, female colleague,
Children.
children, female friends, like supporting each other. And it's not just a woman empowering women, but also men supporting women as well.
Yeah.
Okay. And who are the woman idol that you look up to, that you admire in Malaysia and also internationally?
Okay. In Malaysia, there's a lot, right? And I wrote a book called In Your Skin a while back. Maybe I should show the book is somewhere there.
Mhm.
So and I think when women have found their purpose, right? Whatever their calling may be, right? So there's and they get to the point where they're comfortable with what they are set out to do. Heidi Kwa from Refuge for the Refugees, Jocelyn Lee from the Pit Stop community, right? There's a lot more, right?
So
That I
many,
admire.
so many
But you know
amazing
when
ladies in Malaysia.
right,
Yeah.
when they're when they're authentic, when they're real about what they're called to do, and they get to that point where they are doing what they're doing, I think that's really great. So there's a lot, right? I mean, politically, YB Hannah Yo, in all these different spheres, right, of people. That's very interesting. On a global scale, obviously, when you look at Oprah Winfrey, right, Oprah Winfrey for what she represents, I may not agree with everything she says, right, but you have to admire her when she came in during the 90s, 80s, 90s. She
Mm.
broke the age barrier. She was not a young thing. She
Yeah.
broke the age barrier. She broke the race barrier.
Yes.
So she broke a lot of
A lot of
barriers, right?
barriers.
When she just came
Mm.
out there and there's this picture, right? But she knew her content, right? She wasn't full of BS. She wasn't full of peep, She was full of she knew what she was talking about, but she rose above it. The other person that I admire is Ariana Huffington. I talk about it a lot. Ariana Huffington, as you know, started Huffington Post, sold it, and then wrote a book called Thrive, and has this thing called the Thrive Community, Thrive Global. She talks a lot about the work-life integration, where sleep is important, doing things for what's important for you, self-love, self-care. She's 70 years old this year. So the energy, the fact that she's still doing what she's doing at 70 and singing a different message, right? Maybe I relate to her because she comes from the media background, and she's still so positive and still so energetic. Yeah, I would say that, because she's in the same field, that I really look up to her, and she's aspirational to me.
Wow. Okay. And apart from those inspirational figures, do you have any other women leaders that you admire?
Okay, politically, it's got to be, Jacinda Ardern in New Zealand, what she's doing in New Zealand, all these women in Scandinavia, all the prime ministers in Scandinavia, they're breaking barriers, that are doing wonderful things. So that's politically. But there's a lot, there's a lot. And then it's like, I try to look at a person for the ability to communicate, right? To communicate across. But the fact that there are women, which we would have a lot more barriers against them to rise above it, that's something else, right? To be able to do that. Yeah.
And for us women in Malaysia, right, we have to also work harder and also to support and empower each other to grow and to elevate and to lift ourselves up. Doesn't matter which industry we're in. We can be in education, property, tourism, retail.
Yeah.
We to get together and also empower, support each other, and also strive to contribute to the economy of Malaysia as well. Yeah.
Because I think studies have shown that women, when they are full, we get more women participation in the workforce. It really impacts the economy. I don't have the figures with me right now. You can do your research, but the moment you get a certain number of women back in the economy working, they actually contribute a lot to the economy, right? So this is such an important factor, right? So it doesn't matter, like say, what industry they're in. You are called to do different things. Your talents in different things, but when you rise up to the occasion, right, that is such, you can really make a magic in this country.
Yes, and we contribute to the growth of Malaysia, to the growth of our country, to the economy. Yes. And we have come to the last question, Freda. Okay, the final question for Women Empowerment Series. Okay, so the last question, what is your advice to the young ladies out there?
Okay, so when people say come to me for advice, in what area, right? There's so many areas. Is that relationship? Is that in form of career? Is that in form of finance and all that? But generally, I would say, and it's not just to women, right? It's to both genders as well. It's never stop learning. Never stop upskilling, reskilling, and getting to know more. Just because you finish your degree doesn't mean it ends. The learning doesn't end, right? And sometimes I look at people and I think, my goodness, right? A lot of things you can just do a bit of research in Google. You can find out so many things, right, about life. And people stop doing that. Right? I think the saddest thing is when people go to Google just to find out what's the next best restaurant. And that I think that you can leverage a lot more when this information is so readily available. Because I come from a time when the internet is not so easily available, right? We have to go and research newspapers and all that. So when information is so readily available, go out there and educate yourself, learn new skills, never ever stop, right? Regardless of whatever your age. Yeah. And always be curious. Always be curious about what's out there. And always be willing to have your beliefs challenged, right? When people can challenge my beliefs and my perceptions, I really love it, so that I will try to research a little bit more to see that whether I really have a solid case or whether I have been having a wrong view altogether, right? And sometimes nobody is right, nobody is wrong. We just have different views because we come from different parts of the world. We have different education background. I mean, even you and me, right? There are things that I can learn from you. There are things you can learn from me, and we just look at the world differently because we were brought up differently, right? So if I were to say that about everyone, you always be curious about people, right? And know that there is no one way, right? And if a person thinks differently from you, why does a person think differently from you? What do they see that you don't see, right? I think you will solve a lot of problems in this country.
Yeah, exactly.
If you just make a point, if you make a point to learn from each other. Right?
I really agree with you, Freda. Continue to learn at any age. You can be 40, you can be 60, you can be 75. Never stop learning. You can be 80 years old. Never stop learning. Keep going. Keep learning, because learning is a learning curve. Yeah. Okay, and we've come to the end of the show. Do you have anything that you would like to share?
Anything to share? So many things to share. Connect with me on LinkedIn. You'll find me on LinkedIn, Freda Liu. Love to hear from you. That's the best place to get a hold of me. And really, like I said, always continue learning. You don't know what you don't know.
Yes.
And that's the thing that keeps me excited and
Yeah.
curious about life all the time.
Always be curious and continue learning. Okay. And thank you so much, Freda. It's an honor to have you on my Women Empowerment Series video podcast. Truly an honor. Truly an honor.
Thank you.
And
Thank
you
you.
are one of my inspirational woman idol in Malaysia, and I look up to you. And this episode for Women Empowerment Series, truly an honor to have you. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge, your wisdom, and also your tips and advice. And to the ladies and girls, women out there who are watching this, I hope you guys are inspired and also motivated by Freda sharing today. And do follow her on social media, on her Facebook, Instagram, and also LinkedIn. Till then, stay safe. Take care. Bye.
Bye.